Hello and welcome to the Unfazed Review Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Emmett.
And I'm super full. We just had a bunch of sushi and some candy. I know, we were bad. Bad.
It's alright.
But it's been a minute. This is the first official pod, I think, of 2025, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so welcome to the club, guys. It's been a hell of a party.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And you have been really killing it with the diet.
Yeah.
And the working out.
Yeah.
We did sort of just among our friend group, we did a little pact where we're like, all right, we're going to tell each other what we're eating, when we're working out. We're going to stick we're going to go on the honor system. And if we say, we messed up, we'll fess up and we'll have little penalties and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're the one who's really been sticking to it the most.
I have
killing
been,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Alan was sticking with it a little bit, and then I think Max and James didn't partake. But I love them. I love those guys.
I've been doing it as much as I can, yeah.
But it's
I'm a little stuffy right now because I've had mucus thing for like weeks, so...
It's a symbiote.
It is a symbiote.
Symbiote, however you pronounce it.
I wish it was a symbiote.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I always liked the Black Spider-Man. And I don't mean Miles Morales. I mean the symbiote suit.
Remember in the N64 game, there was like a white and blue one that would look really cool?
Oh, yeah.
It was just a costume you could get. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
One of my favorite costumes was Scarlet Spider.
Oh, that's
cool.
He's
a badass.
Cool.
Anyway, so yeah, that's about it, man. But so far, the year, kind of a weird year, right? We got planes going down. We got a lot of crazy turmoil. But overall, it's like, I feel like January was super slow. It seemed like January dragged on. It felt like 6 or 7 weeks. And then February was like, nothing, over.
Yeah.
You know? It was crazy. I
think it's the January always feels slow because you're just dragging out of the holidays. It's like everything's back to the way it was, and you got kind of spoiled by the coziness of Christmas, and now you're suddenly back into the fray.
It did feel good doing a couple videos this past week. Like I had taken a hiatus. Well, both of us weren't feeling good for a while there, and then I just fell into that cycle of laziness.
Yeah. And
I did a couple random rant videos. Maybe you guys saw them on the channel, and literally they served their purpose. The point of those videos was just to get the ball rolling again. And sure as shit, after I recorded those 2 videos, I was just like, okay, what's next? Let's get the calendars out. Let's put some short films on the docket. Let's plan some stuff. And then here we are doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're doing this. And then you inspired me because I've been sitting on one of my star map scripts for honestly a year, I think. Mm-hmm. And so I finally just bit the bullet and I posted it today. So that was thanks to you, baby.
Very nice.
That's thanks to you.
That's good shit, man.
What I do want to mention off the bat, just so I don't forget it again, because I've been meaning to, I think the last 2 podcasts, which have been a long time ago now, I meant to talk about it. But the weird thing to talk about off the bat, but
I think it's cool.
It's interesting. Yeah, I'm not big into this stuff, not big into believing this stuff, but when it happens so directly, so intensely that I can't deny it, it's kind of cool. And it's happened twice to me where I've had very vivid and correct, accurate, I would say, dreams, premonition type dreams, where I'll dream something and then later on it happens. And these were very sincere because they were dreams that kind of stuck with me throughout the day, maybe, as dreams do sometimes, but then I forgot about them until I was in the moment in real life, months down the road, and then I got this sort of deja vu sense, and then I finally recalled the dream. So the first one was, the dream was that I was playing a solo show, just me and my piano, at a ridiculous sized concert. It was Metallica live type thing, still sold out. I was looking at this huge audience, just me and my piano, and I had to sing one of my songs. And I remember.
You remember a song?
I don't remember which song. I don't know. I feel like it really was a song, but I don't remember which one it was. Okay. But anyway, I remember kind of forgetting the lyrics, fumbling, and I knew my family was behind me. And I remember feeling so defeated because I messed up the song in front of everyone, and my family was right there behind me. And that was the whole dream. And then I think I had that dream in, it's been so long now, but I want to say October or November. And then I play in a little community orchestra. I play piano and percussion in this little community orchestra. And it's once a week we just meet up, and it's a lot of people. It's very lackadaisical. If people don't show up, it's not a big deal. It's just kind of whatever. But so I didn't really stress out about that group, and at the time we were working on some Christmas music, and we were doing highlights from the Nutcracker, and some of those passages can be kind of tough, and I had some pretty intricate stuff on the piano to play there, and but I wasn't really stressing about it. I wasn't really trying to perfect it. I was just kind of winging it and having fun, and I knew we had a show coming up, but it was called Scott's Dazzle. So I live here in Scottsdale, and there's this thing I never heard of called Scott's Dazzle. That's just a big there's Christmas lighting and people walk around this little cute area of town and just look at the lights and stuff. And so I had never been to it before, so I couldn't conceptualize it. I didn't understand the size. But because our orchestra was playing there and it was kind of a lazy little fun orchestra, I was like, oh, it must not be a big deal. So I didn't really think much of it. But we get there, and it was like this huge thing. It was legitimately huge. The mayor was there, a bunch of like some singer from like The Voice was there singing with us on one of the numbers, and it was massive. Like, the audience was huge. There's tons of families out there looking at the lights, and we were on this like front and center.
Didn't you say it was like televised?
Yeah, it was televised, and I specifically it was televised like a lot apparently. so basically, we were on. I'll try to explain this. We have a lot of canals here in Arizona, and there's a canal that cuts right through Old Town, which is a nice little neck of the woods, which is where this concert was happening. And there's a bridge that goes over the nice like footbridge that goes over that canal, but it's a sizable bridge. And so we were set up on that bridge. So I was looking out of the canal, but on either side of the canal was like a ton of audience members just sort of like laying on the floor or standing up or whatever. And there really was only like standing room. Like it was packed. And so we were on the stage on the bridge. The stage didn't take up the full width of the bridge. There was a little bit of walkway. And so right where that walkway was is where my parents were. And so just like the dream, I had this huge audience in front of me, and my mom and my dad were right behind me, which in my dream didn't even make sense. Like, why are they on stage with me? Funny, weird dream thing doesn't make sense. But somehow it ended up actually being that way in real life.
That's crazy.
And so I didn't mess up, thankfully, but I had a couple moments where I like almost did mess up.
You're kind of getting
Yeah. And so like in that moment where I was scared to mess up, and I had my parents behind me and this big audience in front of me, and my friend later on told me that the whole thing was televised, and apparently like I was on the screen a lot for some reason. I was up there, and I had this moment where like, I've been here before, what is this? And then that dream that I had a few months ago that I completely forgot about just came flooding back in, and I was like, oh shit, like this is essentially the vibe-wise and situationally the exact same thing.
Deja vu.
Super weird. Yeah, super weird. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, I had a dream where it was another like gig type thing. I had my, which doesn't even make sense because I don't play it anymore, but I had my viola in its case, and I was just like holding my viola.
Nerd.
In the dream, I was coming back from a gig, and I had like a coat on. I was just holding my instrument, and I was at like, I didn't know exactly what it was in the dream, but I knew it was some form of transportation. It was like a subway or something, but it was anyway. When Ben and I went to go do our Metro Center vlog, the last one we did, the, what is it called, that rail that's been, the light rail?
Light rail.
Yeah, the light rail is being built right through that area, and now that it's getting more and more demolished, they're doing a lot more work on that light rail. And when we drove through that light rail, the way it looks now, because the last time we were there, it was really bare bones. It was like just the rail.
Yeah.
It was all bronzy, and it wasn't finished yet. But now, if you guys watched that video, it had all these lights, and there was like, I remember there was a big parking garage across the street from it.
It looks like a big casino entrance.
Yeah. Long story short, it looked exactly like where I was in my dream.
That's
to the T. The lights, I remember the parking garage across the street that was like relevant to my dream somehow.
Wow.
So it was like the area was exactly the same. And in the dream, I was like waiting for the light rail, standing up there.
Damn.
And it was just like, I remember like, when we drove up to it, I was like, oh, shoot, there it is. Like exactly.
I think we even caught that in the vlog. I think I got you saying that.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I just had a dream like this.
So it was weird. It was very weird. It was just like kind of two, pretty much back to back, and I haven't had any since. But I just thought that was worth noting because of how exact they were.
He runs on precognition.
Yeah.
Spider sense.
Genis Kukukania. Anyway.
There's 13. However many there was. There was only 12.
Yeah.
Whatever the number was.
13 super spiders.
Genis Kukukania. No yelling, no wandering. Knock it off.
Let's go talk about how we listen. We were talking through a lady's entire presentation.
That's just, it is crazy, the precognition, the premonitions.
Yeah.
I have only had a few things like that in my life. I distinctly remember one when I was a kid, when I was around probably, sorry, the seat's squeaking, sorry guys. You hear the squeak. I remember being about probably like 13, maybe 14, and riding the school bus back, and I remember having this dream the night before of there being a big flag and then a car being lit on fire, and then being delayed for some reason, and having to call my friend's mom to let her know that we were running late. And sure enough, that next day, riding on the school bus with our buddy Alan, and I think James might have been with us too at that time. We've known each other forever. Mm-hmm. And we were driving by this car dealership coming back from school, and there was a big, giant American flag out front, and there was a car on the side of the road on fire, and a fire truck trying to help put it out and help the people. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then we got delayed by some other traffic jam that was happening. And then to finish out the dream, I had to, I called my friend's mom. I was like, hey, we got to make the rest of the dream come true. So I called her and explained everything. I was like, hey, that's why we're running a little late. Wow. And I remember that was crazy. And I seem to remember there's some other detail of a way that the bus driver reacted, but I can't remember specifically what she did or said. Shoot. But that's the only time I can think of something where it really was oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. So weirdly specific, a car on fire and the flag. Yeah. And especially because it would have been one thing if the car would have been on fire in a random area, but the fact that it was in front of a dealership with a big flag, just like the dream, struck me as kind of crazy.
Yeah, a specific visual like that that's completely out of your hands, and yeah, that's crazy.
So that struck me as kind of crazy, but I haven't had too many of those. A person who does get those quite a bit actually is my mom. She'll have a lot of kind of semi-psychic type stuff, or she'll have kind of I may have talked about this on another podcast before, but I remember when I was a kid, we had a neighbor that we were very close with, and she was a second or a third grandma, yeah. And she had been, she moved away, and we hadn't heard from her in a while. And I remember I was probably around 13, something like that. I remember she said, "Oh, I had this dream that Grammy Claire, the name of our our neighbor, had passed away on Halloween," and this was a week or so before Halloween. Anyway, Halloween came and went that year. Didn't hear anything bad about her, right? And then she got a call 3 days later from Claire's daughter saying that Grammy Claire had passed away, and she said, "Oh, when she passed away?" She said, "Halloween night."
Oh man!
And I was like, "Oh shit, that's
crazy."
That
is crazy.
So I think there is something to that. Maybe part of it's coincidence, and maybe another part of it is some kind of psychic ability, some kind of precognition, cucanium business.
It is just weird how it's weird how memory in the brain works, because on both accounts, for a moment there, I was like, I've been here before. Where, and it felt so real, and so it's just, I don't know. I mean, everyone's had when they were a kid, it's oh, I dreamed that I wore this shirt, and then I woke up and my mom had put it out for me. Yeah. That's probably because you're aware of the room that you're sleeping in even when you're sleeping. So odds are your mom put the shirt out while you were asleep, and then you kind of caught it in your periphery while you were asleep.
But when it's somewhere that you've never been,
but it's something like that that's so specific, then it's okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
And
so that's,
I don't know.
That's weird. Fascinating. Yeah. Well, keep an eye on it. Maybe there's something to it.
I have nothing to say about it. It's just kind of noteworthy, and I wanted to document it before I forgot it, because
I think so too.
It's been some time.
And I do think there is something to that. And I know some people I think there's three schools of thought, right, or schools of belief. Sorry, the thing keeps squeaking. Note to self: get more patrons, get new chairs. But no, this is a good couch though. We're not ripping on the couch. But I think there's three schools of thought. There's the people that are absolutely not. That's bullshit. It's just a coincidence. There's the people that are maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is something to this. Maybe it's a possibility. And there's the other people that are oh no, there's definitely people that are mediums, and people that are psychics, and people that run on precognition, and people who have dreams that come true. And then there's a lot of people too, that are political predictors. There's people who are famous because of that. They'll predict elections correctly for the last 25 years. And I think there is something to that. I think it's more than just deduction. I think maybe that's a component of it, but I do think there are some people who are straight up psychic. And call me crazy, but I mean, it's you look at some of those paranormal mediums who go into places, they've never been there before in their life. I'd love to get someone like that on Unfaced Frights one of these days.
Yeah, you say.
Where they go into a building, and they're they somehow nail the person's name, they nail the way they died, they pick up on specific, character traits or hobbies or things like that. Stuff that no one could possibly know until they get the murder victim's family in there.
Yeah, right.
And some of that kind of stuff, it's it's good to be skeptical. There's con artists out there, right? But then there's some other people where I'm I think they're legit.
Yeah.
There's how else would you do that?
I'm I've never been a believer in any of that stuff, just because I haven't seen any of it or witnessed any of it or felt any of it, but I'm also open to it. A lot of the stuff you've seen on Unfaced Frights, a lot of our experiences are I have no explanation. Especially that breath in the A24 prison. That was just totally insane.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, while we're on the topic, would you come up to pass me that water?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I need to wet my
John.
whistle. Oh, while you guys are at it, too, if you guys are coffee drinkers, this is water, but we have Spiriton Coffee, which is a sponsor of the podcast.
We do.
And you can use promo code UNFAZED if you want to get a discount on some really, really good coffee. And check it out. That's that link is down below to Spiriton.
Absolutely.
Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot.
I don't remember.
Unfazed Frights.
Unfazed Frights, yeah.
So that's something I just want to talk about for a minute before we get into the email list here. I kind of mentioned it on our last video a little bit, but like as of right now, I think Unfazed Frights has like 350 or 360 subscribers, and we have over 3,300 on Unfazed reviews. So definitely, if you guys are not subscribed, please go check out Unfazed Frights because we've got some really good ghost hunts on there. And I'm not just saying that because I want to promote the channel. Like everything on there is legit. Like we've done like very legit ghost hunts, and the last one we did with Larry of Be Yourself Adventures was actually pretty freaky, man. And we caught a disembodied voice that said, "Let me out." And literally, if you want to just hear that, I put it at the very beginning of the video. All you gotta do is watch 15 seconds of it. That was crazy as shit because Larry and I kept hearing whispering off in the distance in this room, this little room,
the urn room
with the cremated remains, and the columbarium. Is that what they call it? The columbarium. I think that's the name of it. And I kept hearing it, and I thought, well, maybe I'm just paranoid. There was like a little fountain in there with running water. I thought, well, maybe I'm hearing things. And he heard it too. He was like, no, I think I heard like whispering. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're just paranoid because it's a little spooky in here, And then to actually catch it on camera, where it's like, let me out.
Yeah.
And then the fact that none of us actually heard it in person, that was freaking crazy. So there's so much stuff like that. And it's cool seeing Emmett's journey too, because like when we first started doing like our first Green Acre cemetery, like you were like, I don't believe in this shit. I'm not into it at all. And now there's been so much stuff. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm still waiting to see like that undeniable evidence of like an apparition or something that's like definitive. I still have yet to see that, so I'm still slightly skeptical. But there have been so many weird little things like disembodied voices, disembodied breaths, weird figures out of the corner of our eyes, shadows and shapes moving, where it's like, I think there's something out there, and I think every time we do these ghost hunts, we're inching a little bit closer to really, really catching something.
For sure. Now, there was it's been almost a month now, I think, when I called you, and I was pissed off, because sometimes I do watch, like, spooky YouTube videos before bed or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I watched a slew of them, but there was one guy specifically who I'd watched, and, like, it had, 2 million views or whatever, and nothing happened the whole time. Like, the concept was cool. He, like, rented out some haunted motel or something. He stayed there overnight, but nothing happened. And then all like the evidence was so clearly like reaching. Like if like the squeak of this chair that we have here, he'd like slow that down and be like disembodied voice. It'd be like it was so stupid. Nothing happened. And the stuff we've caught on Unfazed Frights is a lot of times better than the stuff I'll see in like the craziest top 10 moments of 2024. And I know you'll just, I guess, have to take our word for it, but I feel like there's ways to prove the authenticness of these videos, even if it's just audio. But all this stuff is for real. Like we haven't faked edited anything.
One thing I can say is like I can say like hand on heart, like everything you see on Unfazed Frights is real. And if you don't want to take my word for it, I feel like you can just kind of tell, because like there are some YouTubers, like if you watch Nuke's Top 5 and stuff like that, where it's like way too much shit happens all at once. It'll be like, a 2-minute video, and you'll see stuff where it's like, oh, the cabinet's open, and all the stuff flies all over, and then a door opens, and then a hand comes out, and it's like, it's super like over the top shit. Us, it's like, sometimes you don't catch anything. Sometimes we'll go to a place and nothing happens.
Yeah, most of the time,
Yeah, but then once in a while you do get something where it's like, oh, that's crazy. And the thing that really strikes me as like kind of interesting and kind of extra spooky is when you don't notice it in person. Like there's sometimes like that last ghost hunt at the whatever the hell it was called, Hanson Cemetery. We didn't hear it in the moment. I heard weird little like noises off in the distance, but like I said, there was like a fountain running in there, and it's kind of a scary environment. You're kind of in your head a little bit. But as I was editing, I heard that voice, and I'm like, that's another thing with editing the paranormal investigations is you have to be so careful going through it, because you could very easily miss that. If you get lazy going through it and you're like, well, I'm just going to skip ahead and try to get to the parts that I think are exciting, you could very easily miss like an amazing piece of evidence. So I'm really glad I kind of went over it with a fine-tooth comb and took my time.
Yeah.
Because then when I caught that, I was like, oh shit. And then I boosted the audio and I'm like, that's a fucking voice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so go subscribe, check it out, and really excited to do more stuff on there.
Yeah, and speaking of, you can hold me to this now. I've been meaning to make like our own top 5 moments because we have caught a lot of really, really cool moments. Yeah. And so to make it easier for you guys to just like see and enjoy, I want to just, catalog them into one little video. Yeah. So look out for that soon.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And then I think that one would probably make sense to do like 2022 to 2024 or something like that. Yeah. And then we could do, more. But that one you'd have probably Yuma. You would have that last Definitely one from Hanson. I think some stuff happened at Green Acres.
Our Terror Trader EMF.
Terror Trader. Terror Trader probably has like 2 things on it at least. Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned for that stuff, guys, because it's
cool.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. And the more we do it, the more I want to like revisit places, and the more I want to check out like one I've actually been really itching to do. Let me know if you guys would care to see this or not. Is go back to Tombstone. Yeah. And I'd love to do an overnight at Tombstone, like the Birdcage Saloon and some of the theaters there and stuff. I think that'd be cool.
I was just reading earlier. Apparently, there's an old graveyard in Tombstone that you could do. Yeah,
Boot Hill Cemetery.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
I do have a little ghost story about that too. I did a ghost hunt there with James. Ooh. Actually, we saw you on the trip. It's when you were living down there briefly.
Oh, cool.
We came down to visit, but I think you had something going on that day.
Probably.
So we didn't see you. Yeah. So you were busy, but not a problem. We went off and did our own thing for I think the first day, and this is the only time this has ever happened so far in the history of Unfazed.
Did you guys record this?
We recorded it. Yeah, we went there and we did a vlog, and I recorded the Birdcage Saloon. We recorded all of Tombstone, everything like that.
Ghost bar?
The ghost bar, yeah, with like bullet holes in the wall.
Where is it?
And here's the thing. When we left, this was all on my Canon, my old Canon. I think I had a T2i at that time. We left. The only thing that was on the camera when we got back to Phoenix was freaking just a few pictures of the cemetery. All the video of Tombstone, none of it recorded. Everything was gone.
Oh, man.
And I was like, that's the only time that's ever happened since.
Whoa. It's like it wasn't meant to be seen.
Yeah,
or
and I was like... And it's just so weird, though, because everything else we recorded on that trip, like random stuff on the drive there, everything like that, and, like, it's just a camera. It's not like it's dependent on, like, some Wi-Fi connection or anything. So it didn't make any sense. And it made no sense. And literally there was, like, 18 some odd videos that just were gone.
Oh, my God.
They were just not on the memory card. They were just gone. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. All we had was just a couple random pictures.
It's too bad because we vlogged that cool old mall that's probably gone now for the most part.
So that one, I do have a couple random bits of it. And then James, no offense to James, we love him. Shout out to James, NOX, we love him. But we were getting kicked out by security, and James was the only one that still had a camera running. Mm-hmm. And I thought, he'd hold it up and kind of get more of the, interior of the mall as we were getting kicked out because he was hanging back a little bit. It just recorded his feet. Oh, so that is the one that got away. That is a mall vlog. No offense to you, James, if you're watching. We love James, but these things happen. These things happen sometimes.
I don't remember that one was called, but it's really cool. It has a little special place in my heart because you can tell it used to be bigger, and there was a lot of half of the stuff was just empty. Yeah. But when I was living down there, my mom was living down there briefly as well. We went to the AMC theaters there. Yeah. And we saw a lot of great movies there. That's when the Everest movie was out.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Revenant, Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It seems like those are so recent, but it really was kind of a while ago. Yeah. Hell or High Water, I think, was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. 2015, 2016. Yeah. Oh, shit. There was a slew of really good movies that year, and I saw them all at that little AMC down there.
We've talked about that before, but excuse me, there was a phase. Unfazed. There was a phase, I think, what would you say, 2014 to 2016, where it was like some bangers.
I even had 2017 in there.
There were some really good movies. You had like Nightcrawler, Hell or High Water, Everest, Arrival, basically anything with Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Remember the trio of Nightcrawler, Nocturnal Animals, and Arrival blew my mind, because it was like Jake Gyllenhaal, and Amy Adams, and then Amy Adams, and they were all like amazing.
Everything was really good. Yeah, everything was really. That was a weird time where there was like a lot of surprisingly good movies, and we have yet to experience that yet in the 2020s.
And that was when A24 was still really good and just blowing up.
Yeah. Before A24 got into. Actually, this is a rant.
They got self-aware.
A24 became kind of a caricature of itself. But this is actually a rant I want to put out because I've done it on a few different NOX videos. But I'll say it here again. NOX is awesome.
They sold out, those bastards.
Those pieces of shit. A24 has kind of become a caricature of itself, where it's just always these old wrinkly ladies spitting goo out of their mouth. Like, that's every movie, and it's annoying.
And there's always like some stupid vocal creepy soundtrack in the trailer from A24.
Yeah. I'm tired of it.
Stop, man.
I'm tired of it.
Once they made like Everything Everywhere All at Once, it was over. I think that was the nail.
Look, I know I'm going to irritate some of you guys with this, and that's okay. We're all entitled to our own opinions. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was a piece of shit.
It's terrible.
I hated that movie. And if you guys really liked it, maybe watch it again, like with a little more critical eye.
They did Hereditary. They did Good Time, which are like, oh my god,
masterpiece.
Even those two on their own, I'm satisfied.
Hereditary, 5 out of 5. Good Time, I would say a hard 4.5 out of 5. Like, those are really good movies. And even Hereditary, it's like, I know I was kind of harsh on it when it first came out because I was so disturbed by it, but that doesn't take away from the quality of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really
they did Ex Machina, 8th Grade, which I've heard is good. Uncut Gems.
Green Room is a masterpiece.
Green Room? Okay, cool.
You ever seen Green Room?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's a good one.
Lady Bird,
Patrick Stewart and Anton Yelchin's final film. You like Lady Bird?
Yeah, Lady Bird, which was directed by the woman who did Barbie, which sucked.
Yeah.
But Lady Bird was really good. So I don't know.
Hereditary, I'm sorry, The Lighthouse was a masterpiece.
The Lighthouse, yeah.
Love Lighthouse. Uncut Gems, pretty good.
I heard Room was really good. I never saw it, but I heard it was really good.
Never saw it.
Talk to Me was bad.
Never saw Talk to Me. Go back up, there's another one I saw. Under the Skin was okay.
Okay. I feel like we're missing a lot.
Yeah, I think there's probably more. But A24, like I said, it's kind of is lost its punch a little bit. You know?
They were great for a long time, and then they did The Brutalist. Of course they did. I've heard that's good.
The Brutalist.
Death of a Unicorn looks stupid.
Yeah.
It looks so stupid.
Death of My Little Pony.
Yeah. Okay, where can I actually just look at the movies? Films. Thank you.
Just bring back slashers. That's why everyone likes Art the Clown so much. It's refreshing.
Look, they have a movie coming soon called On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. Shut up. Stop. Yeah. You know what you're doing. It sucks. Yeah. It's really sad. If I had legs, I'd kick you. What are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
Stop.
Movies have really died.
Baby Girl, that was A24.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that one where it's just Nicole Kidman just doing softcore porn?
Yeah. Heretic. You guys, that was alright?
Heretic was alright. Heretic is worth a watch.
Y2K, I never saw it.
Now, Heretic, I will say, is not a masterpiece, but it's fun to throw on. You know, it makes you think a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
But
anyway, they used to have good stuff, and then they, again, as you said, they got self-worth. Yeah. They knew they were doing well, and then they tried to keep doing well, and then that's what that missed them. I think, but before it was genuine, and the people they got were they were actually making good picks and going out on a limb to try and make something good. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, now we have a reputation to uphold. Then we gotta be weird. And yes, God.
I think it was cool when they were throwing in some more lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
Their very first A24 movie, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was it was The Adventures of Charles Swan III. And it was a quirky comedy with Charlie Sheen and Bill Murray.
That's kind of cool.
And I was the first
What
A24 movie.
the heck?
And I think Jason Schwartzman was in there.
I remember they must have been around for longer than I thought, because there was one that I saw on TV that I saw was A24, and it's way before A24 had its identity. Yeah. It was a young Ryan Reynolds, and it was also before Ryan Reynolds got self-aware too, because now I'm Ryan Reynolds, I'm funny. Yeah. It was before that whole stupid thing.
Yeah, it's not.
He was it took place in Alaska, which I guess has a really high rate of child abduction and stuff. And so he was just a dad whose daughter gets kidnapped, and he goes and finds her. And it was this cool mystery story. And it was A24. And it was it was a pretty young Ryan Reynolds, but he did a good job at it. And he was actually acting, but everything's in now. It's you can tell I'm Deadpool.
I'm funny.
Yeah, it was before
I'm in love with Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
And he actually did a good job. It was kind of cool, but it was I want to say it was 2010 or something.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
I want to say it's about 15 years.
Yeah.
Another one that surprised me was A24 was it was also in the snow. And it was like a bobsled team, and it was Cuba Gooding Jr. with a bunch of dogs. It was snow dogs.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. That was a Disney movie.
Snow dogs.
Snow dogs. So I'm teasing.
Or,
Cool Runnings.
What's the one that Willem Dafoe did where it's about the real Balto?
Oh.
Yeah. That's the other one.
I don't remember. Yeah. We love Willem, though.
I love Willem.
But, they've been around for a minute.
Yeah. Nah, that's too bad.
You want to get into this
Let's
shit?
get into it.
I'll let
what do you want me to click on?
Let's just alternate.
The top here?
You do one, I do one. We'll alternate.
Alright, I'll just say this, the subject, Foggy Memory Steven Tyler. And there he is. And there's a picture of him. In 1984, Steven Tyler heard an old Aerosmith song on the radio and didn't recognize it due to memory loss from years of drug use. Oh my gosh. He suggested to the band that they record a cover version. Joe Perry told him, "That's us, you..." You curse word. Yeah. That's hilarious.
And I saw a comment on there. Someone said, you have to verify this, but he said it was the song "You See Me Crying," which is kind of an underrated one.
No.
And
I get it.
It doesn't surprise me, man. They were called the Toxic Twins for a reason.
And they're pumping out so much music. I think if you're just blown through it like that, you'd forget them eventually.
Oh, for sure.
That's funny. He probably liked it because somewhere in his subconscious he remembered it.
Yeah, he remembered it, yeah. Love Aerosmith. Alright, so this is kind of crazy. I actually had to verify this because the years didn't seem right. Like, it seemed too close when you compare it to modern times. But anyway, here it is. This is off Threads, some dude named Rothko28. It says, if the Beatles were to have broken up in 2025, their first album would have come out in 2018. Sort of wild to think about. One of the most influential bands in history made music for less than 1 decade. They released their debut album in 1963, broke up in 1970, and released their final album that same year, Let It Be. I guess the same could be observed with Joy Division, The Smiths, Yazoo, and Nirvana. I could agree with Nirvana. Some of the most influential acts in music had surprisingly short careers. But yeah, when you put it in that perspective, 2018 to 2025, it seems like nothing.
Yeah.
That seems like, that was like a week ago.
Yeah, that's true.
1963 to 1970, look how much those guys crammed into it. And also just like culturally, you look at everything like 1975 versus 1985, 1965 versus 1975. Those seem like way farther away than like 2015 to 2025.
Yeah, because I think when we were growing up, each decade was like this huge thing, and it felt really long to us.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have the benefit of actually like gauging it as adults, it's like, that's not very long.
From a musician's perspective, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And it's like, I know we've talked about the Beatles a lot. You guys are probably getting sick of it, but we're fans. Yeah. We're fans, But think about that, though. 2018 to 2025 musically, and just the scope of their work. It's crazy when you put it in that perspective, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that happens with musicians a lot. There's an explosion, they're big for a little while, and then I don't want to say they fade, but like, even like Miles Davis, like he was huge for a certain number of, shelf life years,
mm-hmm.
and then like he still did pretty big shows and stuff, as did the Beatles, but yeah, like his 15 minutes of fame was a very like sharp, which is definitely true for I think all these guys.
Yeah, there's definitely like an era where everything kind of the stars align. It's like the music's on point, the popularity is at an all-time high, the era is just right, the way to get it out to the masses is just right.
I think it's because everyone's piggybacking off of each other. So like everything the Beatles did at their height, all these other musicians kind of took from and did their own thing. So it's like everyone's kind of climbing up the mountain together at different rates like that, It's weird, but and I think that's what happens with a lot of creative people in general. Like a lot of great directors have like a couple incredible years, and they really can't recapture that magic. So it's interesting.
Well, it's kind of like a good example with directors. Look at James Cameron.
Yeah,
like I feel like 80s and 90s James Cameron versus the guy who just keeps making Avatar movies. Like, if you ask me now, like let's say you just judge James Cameron from like the year 2000 onward, I'd be kind of like, he's all right.
Yeah.
Like whatever, it's cool. James Cameron, 1983 to like 2000, like icon. Like
right, exactly.
Terminator 2, Aliens, The Abyss, Titanic. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Then everything he's done lately, I feel like he kind of wastes his potential now just making Avatar movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like Avatar or not, that's fine. Like it's okay, but I just wish he'd do something else.
Yeah.
It's like
it's not even necessarily that these guys like get worse. I think it's just like the focus changes. Like Spielberg had classic after classic. He was like E.T. What's the one with the other aliens? The
Close Encounters.
Jaws. He can't. It was just boom, 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 boom. And he's still making great movies. Like I really loved. I feel stupid saying this because no one else like talks about it, but I really loved War Horse. They came out like 2012 or 13 or whatever. Yeah. That just came and went. I thought it was a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I never saw
it. And then, it was really good. But, like, again, like, the general public was just kind of done with him for whatever reason. We're on to different things. And then he did, like, Lincoln. Like, he's still... Lincoln was kind of boring, I thought. But, like, he's still more or less making great movies. But it's just, like, our the overall gaze is shifted towards other things.
And we just want Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You know what blows my mind about him? Freaking Jurassic Park and Schindler's List he directed in the same year.
Holy shit.
He did them he was doing them at the same time. So like he would go work on Schindler's List for a week and then fly out to Hawaii and do another week on Jurassic Park.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what the hell?
Back to back.
It's unheard of.
And he was to the point where he almost didn't finish Jurassic Park because he was so emotionally drained from doing Schindler's List. Isn't that crazy?
What a bizarre transition to make.
The fact that he was doing both. But you look back at that, and to me, as much as he did great stuff in the 70s and 80s, I think like 1993 was like the absolute pinnacle of Spielberg.
Yeah.
The fact that he was able to do an Academy Award-winning, heartfelt, historical film like that about tragedy and history and loss, and then juggle like one of the most intense like sci-fi thrillers that big blockbuster magic with Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like what an icon! Like that was his year, you know.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. All those guys are. I don't know. Just lightning in a bottle, and then everything comes together. Right place, right time. Mm-hmm. And I think that the world was ready for the Beatles at that moment.
For sure.
They gave a lot to the world, and then everyone kind of took it and ran. So,
exactly.
So, yeah.
And it was such an amazing time for music too. It's like you had the Who, you had the whole British Invasion. It's like everything was so amazing. And even in America, too, you had bands like The Doors and Hendrix and Beach Boys, and like there was The Byrds. You had some cool stuff going on.
I will say, maybe this is just because I'm pessimistic. Did you ever see that movie about the guy who, like, Yesterday? It was called Yesterday.
Never watched it.
Never watched it? Okay, cool. It was a fun premise, fun idea. It sounds like something you would write, honestly. Where it's like he wakes up one day and the Beatles don't exist, but he remembers them.
Yeah, so I heard the premise. I've seen some clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, like, there's a scene where he is like trying to make everyone recall it, and he realizes they don't remember it. And I think it is Yesterday that he plays. He's like, "Don't you guys remember the song?" Or no, I think he's finally gotten to the point where he decides to say it's his own because he realizes people don't remember. So he shows his friends Yesterday, and he says like, "Hey, this is my song," and he plays it. And they're all like weeping, and they say it's the most beautiful thing they've ever heard, which is like it's a gorgeous song.
Yeah,
but I don't think.
No.
Yeah, you already know where I'm going with this.
No.
I don't think the ears of today would hear Yesterday and give a shit about it.
No.
Not to say that it's not an amazing song. I think it's amazing. Yeah. My point is like
it wouldn't have that reaction.
Yeah.
And also with modern audiences too. Not everybody, obviously there's exceptions, right? You guys are amazing. Except you. Okay. No, I'm kidding. But I do think it would have a different impact. Yeah. And it's like, you listen to Yesterday and not many people are gonna break down crying. Most of the people who break down crying listen to that already have like a sentimental attachment to it or have grown up listening to it or whatever. But like just hearing it out the first time, weeping, listening to it, like that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
And then Ed Sheeran was in the movie and he was like, "You're the best songwriter ever." And it's like I don't think he would have the thoughtfulness or the humility to make a statement like that. And I don't even think like if in real life he had heard those songs for the first time and he didn't know where they came from. I don't think he'd think much of them. And again, I'm not trying to shit on the Beatles. I'm actually shitting on everyone else now. Yeah. Because they don't appreciate that stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's, that was a weird...
Yeah. And also it's different when someone else is performing a rendition of it.
Right, yeah, that's very true.
Well. Yeah. Like if you listen to a Beatles recording or that dude's recording of it, it's going to have a whole different impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, that's the point. He's doing covers and no one realizes that he's doing covers. Yeah. But it's still going to hit like a cover.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Everything sucks.
And it's not to say that, like... I've had once or twice in my life I've had people cry from my music, and one was from like a live performance, and that was that was a cool feeling. It was like a really powerful feeling, but it was one person, and so I think that's more like I'm not to say that these songs aren't going to hit everyone, but they're definitely not going to hit people on a mass basis, and I think that's just music in general.
Which song hit me really hard by you that like made me feel like really emotional? Yeah. It's your cover of All Flowers in Time.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Yeah, that one hit me. I was like, holy shit.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
like that song was heavy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful fucking song.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Right, what do we got here?
It's all you,
my god. I'll just put the picture in here. History Cool Kids posted the shortest, tallest, and largest man in Europe playing a game of cards in 1913. The tallest man's name was Cornelius Bruns, who was reportedly over 7'3". The largest man's name was Canon Colossus. I'm sure that was his birth name. Who weighed over...
It's a Catholic name.
Who weighed over 750 pounds.
Wow.
I could not find anything on the shortest man, not even his name.
Wow. He had a very short spot in history.
He looks just like a regular midget. He doesn't look, you know.
He does.
And the fattest guy, now we have there's a show, My 1,000-Pound Life and stuff.
Yeah. The fat guy now, you'd see him in a cart at Walmart, like an electric cart, and you'd be like, well, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
But back then, he was like a freak show, you know? Now everything just, morbid obesity has become the norm, you know?
That's crazy.
And if you're morbidly obese, it's okay, but make sure you're working on it. Make sure you dial in that diet and hit the gym a little bit.
I think what makes me angry about super morbidly obese people is that I'm almost, in a sense, like, I'm not envious of them, but it feels unfair that they're still alive. Because I know me, if I got anywhere near that weight, I'd probably be dead.
Oh, we'd be dead immediately.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how is that happening?
I feel like at the weight I'm at right now.
Yeah, I feel like I have problems
already.
already.
Sorry, guys, I keep squeaking.
You're good.
Well, it's not me, it's the chair. There you go. I feel like if I put on 100 pounds, I'd have a heart attack climbing the steps, easy, easy.
It's crazy.
So it is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you guys are super fat, just maybe start counting the calories a little bit. Maybe start working out a little bit. You know?
Yeah, be careful.
Baby steps. Steps.
There's some guys in the Unfazed Discord who were ripped. Was it airline?
Oh yeah, airline food's getting
ripped,
jacked.
dude. Yeah.
A lot of those guys. I think Maine's pretty into his fitness.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know.
My goal is to not become the fattest man on earth.
So, exactly. And you're doing good.
Thank you.
You're doing good. As we eat caramellos and M&Ms.
Beautiful.
But we did have our bay, which was good.
Yeah.
We had bay sushi.
We did.
Let's do one more, then we'll do a little break. We'll do a little commercial break.
BBC News Africa.
Ew.
The killing of 5 bald men in Mozambique is linked to a new superstitious belief that bald men have gold in their hair. Gold in their head. They have no hair.
Yeah.
What?
I just thought it was funny.
I guess you have to kill Benjamin.
They gotta protect me, guys, at all costs.
That's really... that's happening now. They're killing bald people.
Apparently.
Bald people. Man, that's like the... Remember when
I'm gonna assume mostly men.
When COVID was at its height and it was like the Asian awareness, now we have to do bald awareness. Be kind to the balds.
Yeah, be kind to balds.
Man, hey, you're a minority now.
I am a minority, yes.
You're repressed, suppressed,
yes,
repressed.
Yes, I'm also an African-American lesbian.
So I pull into this gas station. Oh, classic oversqueeze. Watch this. Release the hounds! You like jazz? Perfect pump. Yes.
2037.
Oh! Even at the gas station, you can do more with the American Express card. Keep the change!
Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Why? Let's party! Oh my God!
Let's leave it alone.
Late Night with Conan O'Brien. TV to keep you up.
All right, and we're back from that brief but necessary intermission. Hope you liked it. All right, so here it is. Engineer Ian Davis built his own mechanical prosthetic when his medical insurance did not cover him. It functions without batteries or electricity. He's like Iron Man or RoboCop.
Wow.
Let's see. So, in early 2019, Ian Davis lost 4 of his fingers, on his left hand to a work accident. I bet he was working with a saw.
But anyway.
Poor guy. His insurance did not cover his prosthetic. Of course. He also was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, an aggressive type of cancer. Poor guy.
Jesus.
Some time ago, too, so things had been going pretty tough for him. But he was tougher, it seems. In an unfortunate accident he had in his own shop, his fingers were badly injured. Doctors told him, it's either your fingers or your life. Being a maker, it was a tough deal, Ian said, as he had to use his hands for everything. Insurance told him to be eligible for a prosthetic, he would have to lose your palm as well. What the hell? Who's making these rules?
Jesus.
Mr. Monopoly? Jeez. So the fingers are not medically necessary. What the hell?
That's crazy.
You learn insurance, man.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You learn a new thing every day. Seeing there's no way around it, he utilized his professional knowledge as a mechanical engineer and got into 3D printing to build his own prosthetics, like Tony Stark.
Whoa.
Prioritizing reliability, especially in industrial settings, Davis crafted a device free from electronics, relying instead on mechanical components to withstand heavy lifting and exposure to elements like dirt and heat. His journey has been documented on platforms like YouTube, where he shares updates and tutorials to assist others in similar situations. That's crazy, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so there he is, and his name is...
Defying everything against you like that is so sick.
Ian Davis. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Ian
Beautiful.
Davis. Crazy stuff.
What a badass, man.
So, I guess the moral of the story is the world needs inventors, and insurance is greedy as hell, and they suck.
That's a real badass.
Yeah, this is actually beautiful.
What is this?
I think you'll like this.
Oh my god. Taco Bell unveils $777 Las Vegas wedding package with Elvis, tacos, and hot sauce bouquet. The Bell is offering a Las Vegas-style wedding package of $777 at its Cantina location on the Strip. The package includes an Elvis impersonator, Vegas showgirls, a taco 12-pack, best part, a Cinnabon Delights cake, and drinks.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it really does. Couples can invite up to 25 guests and receive themed wedding swag, including a sauce packet, garter, and bow tie.
It's crazy. It's only $777. Seems like a steal. You know?
You're doing like an ad for Taco Bell. The ceremony lasts about 30 minutes with no changing facilities available. This unique wedding experience is available year-round for those looking for a bold and fun way to tie the knot.
Wow, I bet it's a lot of people renewing their vows.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather just get the feast and like forget about the stupid wedding.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, can we just not do the nuptials and just,
Those Cantina locations are cool, though. We should go to that one more often.
They're cool. Yeah, we got one downtown, but, I gotta say I'm a little underwhelmed by them. Like, yeah, sure, you can get booze there, but aside from that, it's just a Taco Bell. And it's like, you go to the one downtown, it's just a bunch of homeless people sleeping outside of it. It's not that great. I'd rather go to one and, like, surprise or something.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Let's see.
You want to read this one?
Sure. 1941, Philip Peters, a retired man living alone in Denver, Colorado, began noticing strange occurrences in his home. Food went missing. Odd noises came from the attic, and doors seemed to move on their own. Unbeknownst to him, Theodore Conies, a homeless drifter, had secretly taken residence in a tiny crawl space above his home. Conies would sneak down to steal food while Peters was away, surviving undetected for months. One night, Peters caught Conies in the act. In a panic, Conies brutally beat him to death with an iron rod before retreating back into his hiding spot. So he
what did he think was going to happen? He didn't think that one through.
He ended the guy. So when police arrived, they found no signs of forced entry, leading them to suspect the crime was an inside job. You think? The house was left abandoned, but neighbors still reported noises coming from within. Terrifying. Months later, investigators discovered Conies still living in the attic where he had been surviving in near total darkness. What a freak. He later became known as the Denver Spider-Man. Oh, don't call him Spider-Man. I call him the Denver Freak. Due to his...
The Denver Freak Show!
There it is. Hey, what are you doing up there in the attic? Come down here. Due to his ability to squeeze into impossibly tight spaces.
That is a weird fear of mine. They call it like frogging or something when you're living in someone's house like that.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
I've seen videos of that where it's like, people have security cameras in their house. Yeah. It'll be like this lady that like creeps down at night while people are in the house and go and like steal cheese and water and stuff from the fridge and like grab a beer and go back up in the rafters. So, freaky as hell.
Scary.
That's why I want to put more motion detectors in my house.
Oh, yeah.
For that exact reason. For froggers.
Oh, okay.
What do we got here?
What is this one?
Oh, see what I put as my...
The comments. Also, I think it was trendy to be a war girlfriend back then.
I'll let you take over.
Oh, it's just what... This is pictures of girls kissing their betrothed goodbye as they go to World War II. As they get shipped off.
I was just laughing at the comments on here.
Yeah, nah. What do they say? My man wouldn't be okay with other men carrying me. 2 genders, no obesity, and well-dressed. So beautiful. A Maorium... Okay, I don't know what language that is.
Foreign language.
What were people saying?
I don't remember. But basically,
movie just really
they were just shitty. But I seem to remember the comments. I think were along the lines of like, men wouldn't do that today. They're not man enough. And then other comments were like, oh, women aren't worthy of that today. You know how people they're just shitty. Anyway, but my comment on that was, I think back then, and I could be wrong, I think it was trendy to be a war girlfriend or a war bride. So they were all into the photo shoots of like, my man's, going off to Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
And they're like kissing and like, oh, it's this whole big thing. But I have a gut feeling a lot of those ladies were probably cheating on those guys when they were overseas.
I'm sure, yeah.
I think it was just it was trendy to be a war girlfriend.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
As it still kind of is now.
Yeah, anyway, take it.
Was this our buddy?
That was James, yeah. Take it away.
The backwards progression of CGI needs to be studied. This was 18 years ago. Yeah, the Pirates 2, what the heck's the guy's name?
Davy Jones.
Davy Jones! Yeah, that gets talked about a lot, how good Davy Jones looks. Mm-hmm. And there was actually a really good video I watched last week about why movies kind of look flat and cheap and unfinished now. Mm-hmm. And apparently that has a lot to do with our overblown use of CGI. Like, everything is CGI, everything's green screen. And if you think about this for 2 seconds, it totally makes sense. And like, I should have known this, but until this guy on YouTube mentioned it, I hadn't really thought of it. In order to make a green screen work, you have to have very flat, even lighting. And we even know that from using our, cheap little green screen stuff. Mm-hmm. But that means that your lighting is only used in a technical way for the green screen. You can't have dynamic lighting, dark lighting, uneven lighting. And lighting, if you know anything about, camera work, plays a tremendous role in how things look. Mm. You could have the same camera, if the aperture's not that great, it's going to look terrible in a certain lighting and amazing in another lighting. Yeah. And so all these movies look the same now because they have to have this even boring flat lighting for the green screen to work. Yeah. So all the movies we see now look kind of flat and lame.
You can spot the fakes from a mile away.
You can, yeah. But with stuff like Pirates, I think green screen wasn't used obviously as much. It was a much older film. And the other thing, the obvious thing in the core of it is that they hired good people and paid them well. I think now they hire these poor saps and pay them crap.
Yeah, or they give them
you get a
very limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Because looking back, I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Look at the CGI in Pirates of the Caribbean. Look at the CGI in Spider-Man 1 and 2. Even Spider-Man 3. Look in the CGI of the first Iron Man. Look at the CGI of going back to the 90s.
Did you see Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I thought you said, did I see Harry Potter?
Oh, no, did you say?
No, I did not say.
Did you see Harry Potter yet? Great movie.
You should go watch it.
Yeah, the Harry Potter looks really good.
Harry Potter as well looks amazing, especially Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. But I would say, going back to the 90s, the first Mummy, The Matrix, I would say, of course, Jurassic Park, right? Jurassic Park's the go-to. Terminator 2, it's you look at those, they spent months and months and months and months and months, and they were kind of figuring things out as they went, and it was a perfect blend of practical and CGI mixed together. And now it's just let's get the shit out in 3 months. Who cares? Yeah. And they're like Pez dispensers,
They were, they were Pez.
Here we go. Yeah.
And so the lighting's lame, and the CGI is not done with as much time, or those people aren't paid as much. So it's you get this crap, but yeah, man, those first 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movies are amazing.
So good. Yeah, the first 2 were just incredible.
The third one went a little off the rails for me.
I agree. I actually walked out of the third one.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing it at Metro Center, and I remember being like, "You guys want to go do something else?" And we were halfway through, and it was just Johnny Depp talking to himself.
It's crap. Yeah.
And I was like, "This isn't great." And I love the first one is a masterpiece. I love the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Second one I highly enjoyed. Yeah. Second one was a great movie. Beyond that, I checked out. I never saw the fourth one.
There was a 5th one too.
Was there? Wow.
There might be a 6th one. They just kept getting worse and worse. Yeah.
What do we got here?
Great movie idea, and no surprises allowed anymore. Plus pizza.
A baseball team of death row inmates whose executions were delayed only as long as they kept winning.
Is that a real thing?
Circa 1910.
Oh my god.
And I was saying that would be an amazing movie.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then what else do we have here?
Christopher Nolan will use a giant mechanical puppet for Polyphemus scenes in The Odyssey.
Which is kind of cool. But also I was kind of upset because I'm like, man, can we be surprised once? Do we have to know everything before it comes out?
Also, isn't this cast for The Odyssey Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet?
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to watch that.
Oscar Isaac.
I really don't like those guys. And it's not because I'm getting old and like I don't like the young ones. I adore Tom Holland. I think he's great. Like, and he's a younger actor. I think it's not necessarily like the new ones are bad, but they're just. He's very likable, right? Like even if he's in a terrible movie, I'm like, Tom Holland.
He is likable.
I'm always rooting for him no matter what.
My thing with him is like, I like him, like I want to like him, but I just have yet to see a movie that's like blown me away with him.
Oh well, yeah, it's not like I love his movies, and I don't think he's an amazing actor.
I think he was a very bad choice for Nathan Drake.
Yeah,
I'm a little sour on that.
But like, I guess my point is, no matter what role he's in, I'm suckered into just liking him.
He's a likable dude. Yeah. He's a likable dude.
I love it. But Timothée Chalamet, I don't get it. Zendaya, super flat, boring. This is nothing. I don't get it.
Don't really care.
And who's the woman who Wednesday Addams?
Oh, Jenna Ortega. She's okay.
She's okay. She's got a look for sure, but it's almost I don't know.
I like her in Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that.
Did you watch it?
She worked in that role. I watched a couple scenes from it.
It was decent, yeah. But yeah, anyway, my point with that is like, yeah, that's cool. Chris Nolan's doing a big puppet. That's awesome. But can we just like actually go to the movies and see it and be surprised when there's a giant Cyclops?
I know.
Instead of knowing a year and a half in advance, it's like that's one thing I miss about the olden days. Like you could just like go and watch something and not know it. Yeah. But now it's like I try so hard to avoid even freaking movie trailers. Like I'm like I want to go in with no expectations.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to see. Have you seen the Fantastic Four trailer?
It looks sick.
It looks really cool.
I'm
excited for that. Of all the new superhero stuff, that's the one thing I'm actually.
That one I'm like more excited about than Superman.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, Superman looks all right, but I think Crypto the dog looks kind of dumb. Feel free to fight me on the comments on that, but it looks stupid. But I'll still go see it. I'll go check it out. I'm curious about it. What James Gunn, Rocket Raccoon,
I know.
Whatever. But
I'll always go down swimming.
I always go down swimming like a shark.
I'll always go down swinging with this take that everyone says like, oh, this is like the comics, ergo it's good. There are so many comics that suck dick. There's a lot of horrible comics, guys.
Yeah.
Just because it's like the comics doesn't necessarily make it good.
Yeah.
I don't think Superman having a little dog sidekick is necessarily a great idea.
Yeah, my thing is it's like, okay, so you're talking like Saturday morning 1970s cartoon Superman?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. You got a hard on for Rocket Raccoon. You think James Gunn is going to do great. But I'd prefer a really dark, depressing death of Superman. But that's just me.
Yeah, and honestly, like, my favorite thing about Zack Snyder was his visuals. A lot of people made fun of, like, oh, the Superman costume is so, like, dark and the color is zapped out of it. I think that looks better in the movie that he's going for. I don't think Superman should have, like, super bright red underwear and, now the baby blue look looks good in Fantastic Four because it's supposed to be retro future, and that's a color that makes sense in that world.
Yes.
Okay, But in the new Superman, it all just kind of looks cheap. Even his hair dye job, it's like it's almost blue how dark it is.
Yeah, what I will say about that trailer is I did get a little bit of goosebumps from the guitar in there, and like it was cool. But then I saw Crypto, and I was like,
Yeah, I know.
I can't get past that, and I know people love the cutesy stuff, and that's okay if you like that. If you're a big Groot fan, cool, that's fine. But just personally, I'm like I prefer something darker.
The cast didn't blow me away. The Lois Lane looked lame.
Lois is always lame.
Yeah. I don't know.
She's more like Lois Lame.
Yeah. Superman, he looked fine, but again, like they messed up his dye job. I don't know how you messed that up so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred Superman. Here are the 3 Supermans I want. I want a Superman set in the early days, like the golden age of Superman, like 1940s, 1930s Superman, World War II Superman. Like that would be sick. I want that. Him fighting giant. Robots and mad scientists, just like those old, rotoscope, whatever, like cinescope, like early cartoons. That would be sick to do. Like they did with Fantastic Four, set it back when the comics originated.
Yeah.
Option number 2, although he's too old now and it's too late, but it would have been cool to see, is the Tim Burton, Nick Cage Superman. I would have loved a dark Tim Burton Superman. And then 3rd, I would like to see Kingdom Come, where it's like, old Superman coming out of retirement because everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want, like gray hair Superman.
That'd be cool.
He's losing some of his powers, he's getting older. Batman is like in retirement and has to have like a mechanical suit because he's too weak. And it's just like, that's what I want. Is that too much to ask for? Apparently.
They should have used old Michael Keaton to be Bruce Wayne in like a Batman Beyond movie.
I agree.
It would have been amazing.
I agree. That's what I want. That's what we deserve.
Yeah.
Now we did get The Flash, and apparently, we enjoyed The Flash.
I didn't think it was an amazing movie, but
it was enjoyable.
I laughed a lot, and I thought the action was cool.
It was cool, and we got Keaton's Batman again.
Yeah,
for like 45 minutes.
The Supergirl was cool too.
She was really.
I'd like to see her again. Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed The Flash for what it was.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's not a great piece of cinema, but it was good. It was enjoyable. And we got Batman, so that was sick. But had that done better, I just find it so weird. They're like, okay, well, if The Flash does bad, we're not making a Batman Beyond movie. Shut up. Just give us Batman Beyond.
It's so timid.
You know what people want.
I know.
Like, what do you do? Anyway.
I'll do a couple more here. In 2016, Domino's Pizza in Russia reportedly offered 100 free pizzas per year for 100 years if you could prove that you got a tattoo of their logo. Oh my god.
The Ninja Turtle one is clever.
Ninja Turtle one's cool. He's like biting the domino.
Yeah, that's cool. I would have had him holding it, but the fingers would have looked weird.
Yeah,
but I don't think I would do that for Domino's. Like, I'm not that much of a cheapskate, and I don't like Domino's that much.
Do it for Taco Bell?
That's all right. I'd consider. All right. Here's the game. You got to get 3 tattoos on your body, and they can be fairly small, but they can't be any. Like, they have to be at least as small as your thumb, right?
Yeah.
3 tattoos, but they'll give you unlimited access to 3 different places, whether it's like a theme park, a restaurant, a store, whatever, and you get like X amount of like freebies every year, like that, like free 100 pizzas, free 100 meals, free 100 like accesses to a park, like
Universal Studios.
Same.
Oh yeah. Bay.
Bay Station, yeah,
Bay, just because it's right there. We get it all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Two like opposite ends, like a restaurant down the street, and then Universal Studios, and then Area 51.
Oh.
Just to push the envelope.
Okay. I would do Universal, and here's the thing too. I'll throw in.
Yeah.
Gets you into any Universal. You can go to Japan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Excuse me. I would do Universal. I'll mix it up. I'll do Red Devil Pizza. I get a cool little like demonic pizza.
Okay.
A little pizza with horns. And then third, let's see, Costco.
That's actually a genius.
Costco. That way I can go and just get all my groceries.
That's the most practical one. Yeah.
Just have a fucking Costco tattoo.
Dang, that's awesome.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, well, I'm getting cancer from the radioactivity at Area 51.
There you go. And I would say, what do you guys need? I got 100 things every month I can get from here.
That's amazing. That's the best one you could have chosen.
Thanks, man.
That's great. This one I actually did see, and I had some thoughts on it, so it's perfect. It's hilarious.
Okay.
It's Christopher Walken. It's a quote from him. I don't have technology. I only have a satellite dish on my house, so I've seen Severance on DVDs that they're good enough to send me. I don't have a cell phone. I've never emailed, or Twittered. I've never had a watch either. But if I need the time, I ask someone. Likewise, once in a while, when I need to use a phone, I just ask if I can borrow one. Christopher Walken.
Beautiful.
I remember reading the comments for this, and a lot of people were like, I'm so jealous, like, that sounds amazing. And the funny thing is, like, he's talking about the things he doesn't have. So you can easily just stop it. Yeah. But that tells us...
He's also, like, 82.
Yeah,
like,
for sure,
like,
yeah. But it's the longing for that, of just removing a few things, was so funny to me. It tells you how addicted we are to all this stuff.
For sure.
It's crazy.
And that's the wild thing. I think I've said this before. But if we wanted to go back to, like, 1985 life, we could just stop using all of it very easily. But we choose not to. And it's so, like, past the point of no return, like, we could all agree, like, you guys included, we could all say, you know what, we're going to stop using phones, stop using computers, everything for a year. We're going to just pull away from it. We're not going to use any technology made after the year 1990. We're going to jump back. But good luck getting the whole world to agree on that. That's like trying to, like, negotiate world peace. Like,
yeah, I was going to say...
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, the biggest problem is... I've thought about this, like, going somewhere without my phone and just kind of enjoying the moment. But then, like, what if someone calls and they'll get worried? Yeah. Because we're so used to everyone, like, immediately being able to get in contact with you that it's abnormal if I'm unavailable for, like, 2 hours.
Yeah, it's weird. It sucks.
It does suck, yeah.
It does suck.
But sometimes I will go for a walk around the neighborhood and, like, leave my phone here. But,
it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it honestly is. It's very nice. We are highly addicted to all this stuff.
Yeah. I think I said this before, but I'll say it again because it's something that sticks with me. I remember probably about, let me do the math, probably about 12 years ago, I took a trip to California to San Diego, and, like, the day before I left, my phone broke. Like, straight up, like, smashed, like, out of luck. Right. And just on the way, on the road trip, I bought, like, a Fry's or grocery store, I bought just, like, a quick little, like, one of those small little track phones. I was like, just in case of an emergency, so if anything happens, I could call my parents or whatever. And I had that little phone and programmed, like, 2 numbers into it, and that was it. And, like, had it, like, in a backpack, and that was it. That trip to this day is one of the most vivid trips in my memory. Wow. Because I was there for, like, 4 days in San Diego and did, like, SeaWorld and all that stuff.
You were there the whole time.
And I was there because I wasn't checking my phone. I wasn't checking social media. I wasn't, and we weren't, this was, I was 19 at that time, so I wasn't nearly as entrenched in as I am now.
Yeah.
But even still, it's like back then you still had Facebook and stuff.
Right.
And I remember just being so in the moment, and that trip to this day just is so vivid in my mind.
Oh, so
because I wasn't texting anyone, I wasn't checking anything, I wasn't looking at Instagram, I wasn't looking at Facebook, I wasn't looking at anything. I was just focused on the moment totally, and I knew if there was an absolute emergency, I had this little burner phone I could use, or my buddy had a phone that I could use. And that was it, dude. And I have like only a couple random pictures that he took on that trip. It was with Alan, and we went to San Diego. And I got like, altogether, I think cumulatively like, 6 pictures from that trip. And like, it's really cool because it's just like, it's just up here.
Oh, it's so cool. Man.
And it was like, it was like awesome. It was like such a good trip.
That's
and I remember
great.
like, just, I don't know, everything, like Old Town San Diego and the beach and everything. And it just hit a little bit different because it's like, I feel like my brain was recording so much more.
Yeah, you know what Shabbat is in Judaism?
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, on the Saturdays, the ones, I think what is it, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday, you're not supposed to use electronics.
Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah.
And I think that's really just healthy for everyone, and that's a nice thing to do. Sometimes on Sundays lately, I've been trying to like not play video games or be on my phone as much, and I'll dedicate that day to like reading and stuff, and then just working out. And I feel like the most calm and happy on those days.
Yeah.
So there really is a direct correlation between all this stuff really does create anxiety. All the waiting for something to happen, looking for something.
Unfazed Shabbat.
Yeah, unfazed Shabbat. Let's do it, guys. Every Sunday or Saturday.
I do think you were on the right track with that, though, saying it's like anxiety inducing.
It is, yeah.
And I do think there is something to that. Like if you look at the massive numbers of how many people are anxious and how many people are depressed and how many people have panic disorders, 110%, I would bet you $1 billion on it that is correlated to social media usage.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. For sure. People were not as unhappy pre-social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, depression has always existed. Yes, anxiety has existed in different forms. For sure. I'm not denying that. But I just think it became way more pronounced when everyone knew exactly what everyone else in the world was doing and was comparing themselves to everybody else and, felt this need to have this online presence all the time. It's almost like you're juggling like a second life out there online, and it's obnoxious sometimes.
It is, yeah.
And there's part of it that I love. Like I love this, but like aside from that, like if you take the YouTube, and video making equation out of it, I don't give a shit.
It's yeah, exactly. And I've been slowly diminishing that. Like I don't have the Twitter anymore. I don't have. I'm rarely on Facebook. I use it for like my one-on-one piano lessons sometimes that I do here in the Valley, because you can do like the business accounts and stuff.
This year, guys, will be 8 years since I deleted Facebook.
Good for you, yeah.
Well, it was becoming just a place for people bickering about politics and old people.
Yeah. So I'm rarely on that. I don't have the app or anything. I just check it on the computer if I need to talk to like a student or something.
Yeah.
And then Instagram, I'm kind of rarely on. I juggle between a few accounts. But
I am on Instagram a lot.
Yeah, that's your main one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then YouTube's still my main one. And I feel like that one's not as counterproductive and as anxiety-inducing.
YouTube you can learn stuff from.
Yeah. Twitter was the worst one. I'm so glad I'm off that.
Twitter and Threads, man.
Yeah, forever. Holy shit. Yeah, you should probably think about getting off Threads. I know you have like the lurker account. Yeah,
I can't post.
That's good.
The only thing I can do that I did notice, which I got to be careful with, is I can reply to people one-on-one, but no one else can see it except for that person.
Ooh, weird.
So it's like, there was one guy that had commented something, and I just corrected him, and he was like, oh, thanks for that. Like, it was like actually like a legit, like, oh, I think you got this. It was something about like,
oh, thanks for that.
It was something about like top movies of 1981 or whatever, and he's like, why was Scarface not on here? And I was like, actually, that was 1980, whatever. And he was like, oh, you're right. Thanks.
Oh, wow.
I was like, but it was one of those where it's like, you can't, that's it though, it's just between he and I. It's almost like a DM.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, and if anyone else looked on that thread, they wouldn't see it. So that's kind of cool in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you gotta be careful because it's tempting to like chew people out.
Yeah, be careful with that stuff.
But all right, let's do one more each. So I'll do this one. A new Back to the Future video game is in development. Oh, let's hope it's good. Oh, can you imagine if it was like the people who did like Red Dead or something?
Ooh.
If it was like freaking who is it?
Rockstar.
It's Rockstar. Yeah. So we've got a shot at a new video game based on Back to the Future. I don't want to tell you any more than that because I'm not allowed to. But this is something I've wanted to do for a long, long time. Knock on wood that it will happen. Bob Gale, who is the writer of Back to the Future. What kind of Back to the Future video game would you like to see? A sequel to the Telltale game, which was like a story, choose your own adventure type one that they did like 10 years ago. Marty cranking 90s in Fortnite. No. Give your ideas in the comments. So this one's something I want to talk about. Like, if you could design a Back to the Future game, what would you pick? And I already kind of know what I want to say, but I want to hear your opinion.
I thought that Ghostbusters game that came out in like 2014 was really good. And
I didn't play it, but I heard it was good.
So good. Like it felt like you were in the movie. You know, it's like a cliche thing to say, but it really did. When they pulled that off, it's fantastic. So I'd like to see something similar where maybe I like video games when they're based off movies to follow the beats of the movies, but sometimes expand on them and go in different directions. So I like a Back to the Future movie to follow the films, but again, yeah, maybe let's make them semi-open world. You can do side quests that we didn't see Marty do in the movies. We can expand on scenes. Maybe like when a scene ends, then like we keep going in the game, like stuff like that. I love stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of driving the DeLorean around, and maybe, which would be, I mean, I don't know the scope of this game, but if you could like open world time-wise, that would be crazy, right? That'd be so cool.
I agree. Everything you said, I agree.
So that's what I would want to see.
Same thing. I'd love to be able to traverse time and like go to certain areas, side quests, everything you said, man.
So cool.
Yeah, like how Red Dead Redemption 2 is like so open, but that like you could like it'd be cool if you could do upgrades to the DeLorean too. Like you start where it's like Back to the Future 1 technology, and then after you complete like the story and enough side quests, then it's like, oh cool, now I've got a Mr. Fusion. Now the DeLorean can fly, and then it's like, and then you unlock a hoverboard, and then like halfway through you get hoverboard, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, cool, then you get to go back to the Old West, and then you can access the train, you know, the time train. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see Rockstar do it, or freaking. I mean, I don't know if I trust Bethesda with it. They're a little too locked into the story. No. But I would say
it would have to be third person.
Naughty Dog could be cool.
That's more of what I would be thinking.
Naughty Dog would be good.
What's the thing that makes the DeLorean run? Isn't there like
a flux capacitor?
Flux capacitor. I think it would be cool if like you almost like a survival game, like you could get stuck in a time and you'd have to go out and like acquire a piece that you need
to get it going.
Yeah. That would be cool.
That would be well. That's the premise of so many of the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's like the premise for 1 and 3.
Yeah, so that needs to be like a something they can work into the game as an actual mechanic.
Oh,
that'd be so
sick.
cool.
And then you're like, okay, here's one of 12 pieces.
Yeah.
And you got it. Yeah, that would be sick. Oh man, make it happen, guys.
Okay, this is the last one. I guess we'll end up. We can talk about this. This is a guy on Thread saying, "Is 33 too old to become a father? I've legit been made fun of for not having kids yet."
And then that was the Giphy that I put.
Relax, take it easy, Scarface.
Yeah, and see what other people said too. I think other people said stuff.
Or was that a screenshot? Yeah.
Oh, that was it.
That's okay. Talk about this.
Basically, So basically, a lot of people were saying, "No, dude, you're fine. Like 33, like this isn't 1926.
Yeah.
Like you can wait to have kids. Like there's not a huge rush."
And I mean, it's interesting my perspective on this because my parents had me when they were in their 40s, so it's like that seems fine to me.
Yeah.
And there are people who are like, you gotta before you turn 30, you know, like right at 30, that's like the last chance or whatever. But things are so different now. Like it really is tough. I know we've had this discussion a little bit in on Unfazed here, but there is an element of like you can plan too much and you'll never be ready if you're like kind of like your video before, the paralysis of analysis. If you're too scared of having kids and you want everything to be perfect, you never will. But we also have to afford ourselves the fact that the economy really is bad. It's like when we talk about how our parents bought a house working at 7-Eleven back in the day, like that stuff really did happen.
Yeah,
and that stuff is so far gone now, and it's so much harder to. So it's like you gotta cut yourself a little slack.
Of course, and like I said, if you're feeling pressure from it, or if your family's pressuring you or whatever, go on your own time. Your own time limit, your own time frame. Like you don't have to let other people dictate. Like if you have like a parent that's like, you gotta have a kid now. Like don't worry about it. It's your business. You know.
I think for everyone it's different, and I think you'll know.
And if it happens organically, like there's a lot of people. I got a few friends that had kids in their 20s, and they're doing fine.
Yeah. And
that's fine. Like if you're a parent and you had your kid young, that's cool. Like more power to you, especially if you can make it work. But I don't think there should be any like pressure to do it at a certain point in time, unless you're like. Maybe like a woman who wants to have a kid and like your biological clock is ticking, but that's a whole different talk for another day. Dr. Oz.
I will say that's a thing that I totally disagree with the right on. So many right-wing pundits are always saying like, you gotta have kids, you gotta have a lot of kids, you gotta have them now. I don't think anyone, important will see this since it's a random Unfazed podcast and it's the very end of it. But as a teacher, I can tell you, I've seen so many parents who like don't look, act, behave, or do any of the things that parents should be doing, and their kid suffers for it. So I don't, just from my personal experience, I don't fully agree with like the fact that like It's like kids as soon as possible now equals like good.
Yeah.
Because it's not just from this is my job, this is what I do for work, and I've seen a lot of parents who do not have their shit together. When they pick up their kid, they look exhausted. They are, like they're barely dressed. Their car smells like weed, and they're like their kid has many behavioral problems because of that.
Yeah.
So
there's so many people that shouldn't have kids. The world would be better off if there was like 75% less people having kids. Yeah. And I look at it too, and like there's some people, like I said, just speaking from my little inner circle of people, like I've got some cousins who have kids. Almost all of my cousins have kids because I'm the second youngest cousin out of however many, 7 or 8 cousins. And like all of them have kids, and there's a few that I think it's good that they had kids. And there's other ones where I'm like, wow, that was a huge freaking mistake.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? That's insane.
The older I get, the more that idiocracy intro rings true.
Yeah.
Like where it's interviewing like this super redneck family that's just like they're all dumb as heck.
Yeah.
And they're just pumping out kids because they don't care. They're just you know. And then it's also interviewing this like really intelligent couple that's like trying to do it right, and there's always a roadblock, so they never end up having kids.
Exactly.
And that is so true, and it's so tragic.
Idiocracy is a documentary.
Yeah, it really is absolutely true, and it's so tragic, but it's very accurate.
Yeah, and there's so many people like I look at like a couple of my friends that had a kid recently, and like they're two people that like I'm like 100% they are like the best people to have gotten married and had a kid, and they're so responsible, and they have such a good home life, and like they got the dogs and everything put together, and they both have jobs, and like those people I'm like, hell yeah, have a kid. You're amazing. Like you're the best. They both wanted it. I'm like, heck yeah, you guys are perfect parents, and they're sweet people. But then there's other people I look at where I'm just like, what's the point? Like I don't see them enjoying it.
Yeah.
They just seem stressed out.
Yeah.
The benefit doesn't really seem to be there. I'm like, you're not enjoying your kids. Your kids aren't enjoying you. It seems to be a drain on you mentally, physically, and financially. Yeah. And the kid's going to grow up to probably resent you. So there's a lot of people where I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That doesn't seem fun at all.
Yeah.
And then there's other people, like 2 of my friends who had a kid, where I'm like, all right, you guys are great parents, great candidates. Yeah. So I think, obviously, sometimes there's a factor of, people not wrapping it up and getting someone knocked up, and that's how it goes. Shit happens, right? Accidental oops babies. But then there's other people where I'm just like, maybe avoid that.
Yeah, it's a little spooky.
Yeah, so wrap it up, guys. We got unphased condoms down below in the description.
When you put it on, it's got our face on either side.
Yeah. Yeah, so
you look down and say hello.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And make sure you get the unphased frights condoms in XL as well. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the podcast. That's the end of the podcast. Be safe out there with those wenches you meet at bars. Bye. Oh, my God.